Hi everybody, welcome to Ctrl Alt Compete. Today we're joined by Gordon Ross, a tech entrepreneur who started off working in video games. Gordon's worked as a tester on GTA, he's worked with Lego, and he's now developing renewable energy. Very interesting guy, so I hope you enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Ctrl Alt and Compete, and today I'm joined by the lovely Gordon Ross. Gordon, how are you?
Ah, it's nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice. You say nice to beat me.
We've met before.
We've met before. No, we're speaking off camera. I was thinking, I went back my LinkedIn messages and I spoke about when we first spoke, and yeah, you were into computer games then, weren't you?
That's right. I mean, gosh, I'm trying to think. When you started esports Scotland.
Yep.
Oh, I'm trying to think when it was. Well, I mean,
that would have been I think that was about 2017. The first we pulled it together.
So I think we probably met about 2019.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd been living in Valencia and came back in 2019. Because we taught my daughter how to game the system.
Right. Okay.
Well, we travel because of making video games.
Yeah.
For a living, we had these opportunities to move.
Yeah.
Around the world, which was great. And a byproduct of that was that my daughter, we picked places where English wasn't the first language.
Yeah.
So curiously, that was a bit of a shock to us when we moved to Quebec because we thought it was kind of only pretendy, not the first language. But Quebec City, French is the very first language, and it's Quebecois French as well. Not that it would have made a difference to me because my French was rubbish. But anyway, my daughter, she picked up, French. And Spanish on our travels, and I taught her that. It's like being from the planet Krypton if you come back to Britain.
Yeah.
We Scottish person can speak more than one language.
And how can she still speak them today then?
Oh, yeah, she's doing Japanese. Apparently that wasn't enough. So she's doing Japanese at Edinburgh University, and she's way off to Japan for a year it's coming September.
See, that's why I like you going. That's the way you think, because most people would go places where they do speak English.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things. I was always in awe of my pals, like whose parents were from other countries, and they could speak fluently with it. Actually, not in all cases. Like I tried to have a conversation with one of my video game buddies when we were wee.
Right.
I say we were in our teens, and his second name was Sheik, and they had a Chinese restaurant in Crieff.
Yep.
And Eddie Sheik, he had and his boys, they had a takeaway in my hometown, Auchterarder, but 9 miles apart. And so I was asking Raymond and say, right, so are you guys cousins or something? He said, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? And I said, well, my Cantonese isn't good enough to ask my dad as in-depth questions as that. Like, okay.
That's when pen and paper comes out. Eh?
So I thought, maybe you could just draw a picture.
Yeah, that's what that helps. I was going to ask you as well, Gordon, right? Because I looked back at your LinkedIn profile the other day, and I always knew that you're into a lot of things. And I actually asked AI, I said, what is Gordon? Because you've been in games, entrepreneur, tech. So could you start back at the game stuff you've worked on?
I'll start, but I mean, to sum up, I just don't react very well to authority.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I don't really like doing stuff that people have done before.
Yeah.
So back when I got into video games, a lot of folk had, not a lot had been done.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, that's not true. A lot of things have been done in the 70s and 80s, and this was mid 90s. A lot of things had been done, but not in. As you can tell, there's a lot of things that had not been done between now and then.
Yeah.
So actually, I'd gone to Edinburgh. I was studying physics and computing, although it was called microcomputing. But they had to change the name change it to physics and computing, because by that point nobody really knew what you meant by microcomputing.
Yeah.
So
and everything was probably huge at that point. The computers.
Well, I mean, there were hey.
Not that far back.
There were PCs. I think there might have even been the odd laptop kicking about. But there were, a laptop came. Its battery lasted about a minute.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember that time I had a mobile phone, because I stayed in. I was like that, and it came with a charger like that. I had this big giant coat which was, it was fortunate, so it was sort of grunge era.
Right, okay.
So I had this big giant coat. It looked fine if I was in Seattle.
I can just picture it.
And one side was a phone charger and the other side was the phone. But it cost 50p a minute. And now,
Really?
well, you see, that was 50p a minute, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And so nobody could afford it. So you used to know, basically what we'd do is people would ring a certain number of times without us answering it whilst we're in the pub. And there was codes, and that would tell you which pub to go and change.
So Morse code for the phone going.
That was it, yeah. It only worked at the start of the evening because we had to go in a place we knew we could get a sneaky socket.
Right, got you.
And to plug, because I had to stay charged.
What year was this? 92?
That's 94, I think.
94 was it?
Yeah,
That was
94, so 94, 95, something like that. I started commercially in games in 96. It's back when the earth was young.
Yeah.
And I think we were probably amongst the first professional video game testers, video game players, I prefer to say these days, right? Although we're testers more than players, so it's a big difference between playing a video game and testing video games, you could imagine. But we were still trying to figure out how that worked. Things like test plans and all that sort of thing weren't really something that we were.
So you're working out how to test the games while testing them?
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. Look, I mean, everything was being worked out. We hadn't a clue how to manage a game. We had no idea. It was designed by committee. There was. I can remember. So I'd been working in the video game bit. So actually, I start my interview. So I had this game. It was on the Super Nintendo. It was played with a mouse on the Super Nintendo, and it was Kid Kirby.
Right.
And I basically just ripped the thing apart, and I got the job, which was kind of interesting. Actually, my second job in the industry I got by ripping apart a game which was not just sort of directed by the founder of the company, which was Domark or IDOS, and which is now whatever it is now. It's got 10 names now. Anyway, ripping that apart, and I thought, when I realised whose game it was, and that he was the founder of the company, I thought, right, that's me out the door. And they're like, no, we don't want yes men.
Yeah, and you come.
And I got and you come. And so that was a dream job because I got to play. One of my favourite games at the time was Championship Manager, which is now, it's like Sports Interactive's one, so it's not the beautiful game studio thing at that point. It's the Sports Interactive stuff. So Football Manager, FM, and that was a good one actually. Just this week they decided they're not going to launch.
I've seen that.
2025.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Why is that, do you think?
Not good enough.
Good.
And
good on them for stopping it then.
Well, good on them. I used to sleep on the floor. I used to sleep on the floor in the offices to make sure that their product, like Sports Interactive, at the time Championship Manager, came out on time, immaculate.
Because it'd have to be, because there's no updates, right?
In those days, I would call them enhancement packs.
Oh, is that right?
It's patches, but on a floppy disk. But it wasn't as easy as it certainly wasn't as easy as that. Certainly, if you put something out on console.
So how would somebody know? So here's the thing then, right? Without the internet, how would somebody know there's a new patch out? How did you manage to get the message across?
There was loads of magazines. It was the most read specialist press in the world at that time. So enhancement packs and things would tend to go out as cover mounts. That was usually how folk got them. Because there was dial-up internet, but it wasn't very fast, and it was it's amusing. People tell me about trying to look at pornography in those days, and pictures filling.
Yeah,
like
Kevin Bridges does a cracking one talking about his first MSN experiences like that.
Oh, here we go. Oh no, it's an American.
Someone's on the phone.
It's an American rocker.
All right.
With big long blonde hair. But that was so. Internet gaming was a tricky one. At one point we were doing a game with a German company, but this is I think with about 2004, and we just called it. It was like the. I guess that's more like a social type gaming system rather than a massively multiplayer online gaming experience. But we didn't have names for it, so we just referred to it always in the contract as the online component.
Yeah, online component.
Which was an unusual thing. Yes. And just at that, just as we were, trying to get through the economic crash of 2006, 2007, because it's retail. It's a lot of folk think it's like 2008, but it happened to retail before that, and we were putting things in boxes.
Right.
And it was around about that time we were trying to think about, well, where's the internet going? It's going to be fast enough soon to have purely online digital delivery of product. So I was very enthusiastic about that, and was trying to work with companies that were in that. I forget what they were. I forget the companies' names. Most of them have been absorbed or didn't make it or whatever. But yeah, I was really trying to, get into the concept that there'd be digital downloads. The people, like most points in my career, people just think I was a crazy man. It's like, no.
You've seen it coming.
Yeah, you see a lot of things coming. And the difficult thing about being ahead of your time is you look,
Oh, you've got to sell it more.
You just look crazy.
People. Yeah.
People think you're nuts.
Yeah.
They just, unless you, and this is why I don't really react very well to authority, right? Because authority tends to rely upon things they've seen.
Yeah.
Whereas entrepreneurs and people trying to make tomorrow's world, we're always telling you it doesn't have to be this way. And people, but I'm comfortable. I do well out of the way.
It's difficult for you to have all the insight, all the research, and then you've got like a 10-minute window to try and get that across to someone who's probably taken 10 minutes to speak to you and then get on. So
that's true.
It's broken there, isn't it?
Well, it's an interesting thing that as well, because that's how I've developed a process, not just for making video games, but it was developed making video games. But then, for example, the Palace of Westminster's getting revamped for £7 billion, which is crazy. And I was working at Heriot Watt University at the time, and in order to do a feasibility study for a digital twin for the health and safety aspects of that redevelopment, we used the techniques and tools I've learned for building video games. And one of those things is the core experience statement. Now, I've pinched bits of things from loads of different people and companies over the years to build my process. And now I use the same thing for, I've got a business making modular wind turbines, and we get the same ethos. But it's this thing you're saying, how do you get something complex across to somebody in just a couple of words? Well, the movie business and games business has had to do that all the time. Its entire existence, really. And it used to be relatively simple back in the 1970s, because you could only do simple things in the 1970s. But now it's not so easy. And so the core experience statement is just a way of trying to conjure up, what is the what's the feeling somebody's going to have, and when and how. And that's usually about what an executive can take in, because anything else sounds like you're going to make it complicated. I say, well, it will be complex, not for necessarily. How do you not make it complex for the user? Not make it complex for you, the business teams. It will be complicated, but we're going to hide that. We'll not hide it from. We're going to protect you from it. We're like the production teams are. We're a big umbrella. So you just need to know it's going to be a racing game in the desert. You don't want people to feel like they're sweating in the desert whilst they race across, to Dakar.
Right. So pushing that, getting the feeling over to them.
Exactly, and then you say, oh, right, so what are the buttons? Well, we'll figure that out, don't worry about it. It'll be great.
But you're in with it,
You're in, but you're in there. You want to give people that experience. Okay. And so then when you bring people into a project, and they go, what would be cool? Which is that's a phrase, we used to use it as it's almost like it's become our own sort of meme, but we used to use it in some of the projects I was working in Quebec City, and it was people would come in on a regular basis. What would be cool? Oh no, this is going to derail what we're doing. And so I had to develop a system for dealing with things that would be cool. And so maybe it would be. So everything basically, just because we call it. So you got features and you got content, right? And so the content feeds features. And so whenever somebody would come in and say, what would be cool? We'd say, okay, that's cool. We'd write it down, try and describe it, give it a name, give it an ID. It becomes a feature. There's a wee description. It basically goes into a list. And the list starts at 0, and it has unique integer values, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't have 4.5.
Right, okay.
It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that can be as long as you like. However, the time and the budget that you've got gets drawn down and pulled down over the top.
So if it doesn't make it to that point.
So if it doesn't chop it. And if you want something to make it back up above that line, you've got to argue its case against all the other things in that list. And therefore you end up with your core. There's loads of other techniques and tricks.
And at the very end you're like, so now it's not cool.
You know, it would be cool. Save it. And
It would have been cool.
there's a sis. Save it for the sequel.
Right, got
It's
it.
actually sis for, but anyway, sis is easier to say. Yeah, but yeah, save it for the sequel.
Right.
Because if this is good enough, if we get this bit right enough, it will be in the sequel. Now, of course, today save it for the DLC or for the update or whatever.
So they're happy to have it because each game now they want to make it last forever.
Yeah.
So they want to keep doing it. So those to be cools or keep them coming.
They keep them coming.
They'll be shouting in the room. Has anybody else got anything cool?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing as well. So you've got basically in a video game, you have a core loop, right? I've often been accused by folk in sales or people who don't really make video games of going, the core loop's quite repetitive. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, like football.
Yeah, that's
Like tennis.
It must work then.
People say that all the time. That's the biggest bugbear of mine. People will say a game and they might not like it, and then they say, "Oh, it's the same thing over and over," and you're like,
Because that's
"That's
how a computer
games."
program works.
Yeah, that's chess.
It's chess and it's games and it's exactly.
Well, you've got to enjoy the grind and you've got to enjoy those bits that are over and over. That's the bits that make you keep coming back. So if you get those components right, that's the component.
That's the thing that I think is important. So for the wind turbine business, the actual production manager on that is a guy I stole from the video game industry.
Okay.
Because he's just got the right mind for just about anything I want to do in this world. And so we quite often are having chats about video games and production techniques and various things. And we were talking about core loops and various things just in the van, in the truck the other day.
Some good chats in the van.
Some good chats and exactly. Well, it's a good place to have conversations. I come from a building family, and the highlight of folks' day in some respects was to escape to the van and the truck to read the paper, talk about fishing, religion at a very low level, possibly tied to football. And it's a great forum. The truck for it's a wee private space where people say nonsense and get challenged.
Yeah, and then get themselves hyped up, ready to go again.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a great. We should probably design a lot more video games in truck cabs.
Do you know what my mind races? Because there's one thing I want to talk to you about in the building bit, and it sounds like a really Lego. Please tell me about your time working with Lego.
That was an interesting one. Somebody asked me recently if I would do an interview to talk about the making of Lego Worlds.
All right, cool, yeah.
So I did. So the two projects we did Lego Worlds and we did Lego Fusion. And Lego Worlds, the bit that we did, we basically sort of de-risked it. Now I mean de-risking in business. I just recently did even at my ripe old age of 47. I just did an accelerator program for business because you can never know enough basically. And so they're teaching us some of the things. So risk in a business plan, it's not about falling off the edge of a cliff. It's about unknowns. A death threat, that's a risk, right? A death threat to your business, but an unknown's a risk. So we did a lot of things when we were prototyping. It's de-risking projects, and so Lego Worlds. Our job was to de-risk Lego Worlds. We didn't know that at the time. It was called Lego Elements.
And what risk to the Lego brand, or
all the unknowns? How do you make a Minecraft type experience? So that Lego Minecraft, to an extent, is what you think you were talking about.
Yep.
And then you realise from conversation that's not what we're talking about. The core experience for Lego Worlds was you've got the world's largest, best Lego set, not you're playing Minecraft. And it's Lego Minecraft. It was very definitely not that. And that's what we, so it's these sort of questions that we got to just from talking and being immersed in Lego. We're not making Lego Minecraft.
Okay.
That's an easy soundbite. We're making the world's largest Lego set. Right, okay, keep that in mind. And I remember once a very placid and lovely guy from Lego executive, that's not Lego! That is not Lego! I was only trying to explain to him about...
For some reason I just pictured you in the office.
It was... his
It's
boss,
a computer game, it's not Lego, I get it.
His boss goes, whoa. And it was... I was only trying to explain to him a data compression the difference between this type of situation and this type of situation was not trying to get him to make Lego Minecraft. And then it's one of those things as well. It's great to be not the smartest guy in the room. And so we're having this conversation and I'm trying to explain about data compression. That's the thing about being a video game designer. I was talking about Roman coinage in the morning and data compression in the afternoon. You've got to have a good understanding about the impact of one over the other, and the whole picture's got to be in your head as a game director. Anyway, so I'm in the room, and we're talking about how big could this world be? How big could this Lego set be? Which is why we're having this heated conversation. Obviously, he was just annoyed that I was saying something.
But then how can you come back from that sometimes and annoyed anyway? So it's double down on you now.
Well, he was a good guy, and his boss is a good guy as well. So it's Lego. They're nice Danish people, usually, typically. And but sitting in the corner here, and they haven't really said much, is the CTO and his right hand man. This guy Phil's a sort of savant guy, and savant. I mean, real. Whoa! I wish he'd taken us to Mars. But he likes skiing and programming and software engineering. Anyway, so we're having this big long conversation, and we just come up with a number. Saying, could we do? I don't know. Could we do a million bricks? Could we do 10 million? How many? And he says somebody says a silly number that we think, and. Ben Benus is a former. This is the type of guy.
When you say the bricks, you mean physically designing each of these bricks?
What
would you mean? What they could have in the world at the same time?
How many bricks could you have in the world?
At the same time.
Speaking. So a brick in this instance, we're using a standard brick of 2x2 brick. Those are studs.
Yeah.
I
know them well. My feet know them well.
Lego's very specific. That's a Lego brick, not a block. All these sort of things. You get indoctrinated. It's a bit like a religion. But we've got these two guys now. Ben's a very smart guy as well, former nuclear submarine engineer. Right. I was just saying, this is the type of folk you get in the video game industry. And I was thinking, if you just coalesced all that talent, we would be on Mars already. But anyway, they don't react well to authority, so they're making video games. And Ben, so you're expecting Ben to come out and respond, but Ben's smart enough to know that Phil knows better. And so Phil hasn't said anything the whole time. And he says to Phil, so, I mean, that's a big number. Do you think that could be done? And we all think, no chance. Minecraft can't do it. Blah blah blah. So, give me till tomorrow. I'll show you. Okay. And had it been somebody else, I might have been sceptical. But it's Phil, so I'm just I can't wait till tomorrow.
And did he do it?
Oh yeah, exactly. So these are the sort of de-risking stuff. We made the giant worlds possible and all this type of thing. And then so we were over, but we thought we were going to at this point we thought we were going to make the whole game. We were working with the concept labs team. The way Lego kind of works is that if it's Lego, so if it's actually part of the Lego system, bricks that fit together inside this thing, they do it in house. They have a prototyping team that does a whole bunch. It's like going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's the first time I saw augmented reality, for example, was in their lab. They didn't know what they were going to do with it, but they were messing around with it. And so we're in there, and basically they're wanting to. If they want to make something which is Lego, they test it out in there, then it gets turned into a production line, and it gets taken away from them. And sort of they find it a bit upsetting because they've still had more things to do. But no, that's good now, and they'll go and turn it into something they can repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Whereas these guys they do something new. And so, in this instance, we had Lego. Lego Worlds, it was Lego Elements to us. Right. And so we got it up to this point where they go, all right, great, terrific, there's loads of design there, it's really still core, that's fun, everybody's enjoying that now. And so we go over to Billund for a meeting, and we realise, and we're coming from Montreal at this point, and we realise that, the executive producer on our team, he recognises the guy, because it's a small business, right? He recognises across the other table, he says, who's that? We look across and go, those boys are from Warner Brothers. We're out.
That's what they knew that was that.
Right, okay. So having done that, we did this other thing, Lego Fusion. The business model, we'd warned them business model won't work for this. You know, Apple won't. It was for you know, it was an app,
The mobile
stuff. And so we're saying, you know, Apple's not going to let you sell Lego that unlocks stuff in the game. That's not going to
Do
work.
you think that was, sorry to interrupt, do you think that was Lego's point? Did they want to drive the game to sell more Lego sets? And did they want to use it in a sense where they were like, there's a new Lego set, bring it into the game, it'll help sell it? Just like they did with kids' cartoons in the 90s.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this particular instance, it came with a Lego set. So Lego Fusion had augmented reality stuff in it as well. So you built on this little board using specific Lego bricks of a specific colour, and you put it on the board, and then you could scan whatever you built, tell the game what it is. It's a fish, it's a whale, it's a car. Aye, and then it came to life, and that was the thing that you built in Lego is now in the game. And so that was a big part of what we were.
So did they get that data as well then? Would they be able to get ideas what kids are making and think that's really cool? Maybe a lot of people have made that one.
Maybe they could, but I mean, I work with in that concept lab, and those concept labs are the guys who also come up with the new boxes of like the Lego designers that come up with goes in the box of Lego.
Okay.
Wow. Those guys do not lack inspiration or
It'd be great to see how they do that, eh?
Oh, it's incredible. There's little funny rules in there, like time and management things. If you drop a bit of Lego, so you have to in the Lego, HQ. It's very important to wear shoes with a proper sole, so you don't get Lego foot.
Yep. That's what I was saying earlier. I've done it in the house a million times with the kids. Yep.
Well, you're not allowed to pick up your Lego,
right?
Because it's too time consuming.
Okay.
So you sweep up all the Lego at the end of the day. Somebody else sweeps up the Lego at the end of the day. Anything's been dropped on the floor and then gets resorted back into the
that makes
Lego
so much
vault.
sense because they would be for ages looking for bits of Lego.
It's
that time would rack up, wouldn't it?
Well, it is, and that's the thing. It's like I'm telling you, Lego is an amazing organisation. There's some other things I like that they did that we just kept was. So we're talking about these updates. Like so you've got to inform your client, your senior management, whoever it happens to be, whoever's paying. At the end of the day, what you're up to that week. And so we were in the habit of maybe we thought we were quite clever because we got to the point where we're making PowerPoint presentations, and now Lego had us make wee podcasts.
All right, cool.
So every week we just did here's the game, and the designer's talking through the features and want you to focus on this bit. Don't worry about that. We're not working on that just now. So we're just showing you this, and this. You've got any feedback on that?
The internal podcast.
Yeah, so a little internal podcast with an iPad or the PC up, showing them things. And I kept that. That's part of my process.
Well, that's a good idea as well, because ultimately then nobody can interrupt you while you're telling them what you're doing as well.
Precisely. And it's so it's very much like having a wee meeting with them, but where you're quite in control of the meeting. They're delighted because they watch a wee video. They can see what you're talking about. You have to imagine it. Again, they've got plenty of other things to imagine. It's not like they're unimaginative people. Even the Lego guys are. But they have their limits of imagining the thing that's in your head, and anyway, you show them.
And you can say to them, please put all your good ideas in the comments below.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
So it's so there's all these wee bits and pieces that you pick up. I think it's great because you're able to apply them to the rest of your life as well.
That's what life's about. Is getting it right, isn't it? And finding what worked, what didn't work.
Most things don't work. And then
that's the only reason you find out how it does work.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm a big fan of evolution. I was doing some projects with Richard Dawkins a long while ago, and I sort of fell out with the internet. That's probably the best way to put it. So I feel bad because I didn't finish the project. I'd done two, and one of them was about tardigrades. That you basically collected tardigrades. These wee water bugs, the wee microscopic water bug things. Anyway, and I never released it, and mostly because I fell out with the internet. And curiously, it wasn't people that were anti-Richard Dawkins. It was overzealous fans of Richard Dawkins. And I just don't need these people.
No, it gets in your head.
Yeah, so I was just like, I'm just going to drop that. But what I was going to say with the evolution thing was, so there's an important thing people. Right, usually people who don't believe the theory of evolution don't actually know what theory of evolution is. They say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I've never seen this turn into that. Yeah, it's not the theory of evolution. Nobody believes that. Nobody's saying that. Well, it's not that quick. It just doesn't happen like that. It's a population evolves, right, and a trait emerges from a population interbreeding with each other. Successful. Nothing turns into something else. Nothing goes, oh, I'm going to mutate, and turns into something else like that. It's a population has a certain slight advantage over the rest of its population, typically. Well, even more so than another population of a different species that can't breed with that one.
Yeah.
Right. If you take a hill, we'll use your mug here, and you've got a beastie here, right? And it can breed with this beastie, it can breed with this beastie, it can breed with this beastie. I don't mean this one, I mean the one next to it.
Yeah.
And this one comes round here, and this one can breed with this one, this can breed with this one, this can breed blah 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 blah. But this one cannot have viable offspring with this one.
Yep.
And this one, as it goes round the circle here, has less and less viable offspring. You know, so people will make wrong statements about this works for technology, for evolution, for biological evolution. They make the wrong statement about stuff. This cannot happen. That's
because of many CEOs, because they're on their Facebook and they'll see it and they'll just comment. They've no idea about the rest of it. Yeah.
That's it. And the thing is, it's that. So basically, the thing about these two things is people make false oppositions and argue against something which isn't true. And you go, yeah, well, I'm not arguing that. So could we stop talking and talk about something else? Talk about the thing I do believe. Maybe you'll change my mind. But you're not going to change my mind about something I already don't believe.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, you know, if you're trying to convince me to not believe it, you know. So that's one thing that people get wrong at all.
And that's why you went off the internet.
Well, I mean, I sort of engage with the internet. I just don't really comment.
Yeah. Nah, you can get lost. Nah.
Yeah. I mean, this is on you. I did this because I like you.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like I'd say, James, good guy. I'll do this. But the thing is, about what I was going to say about evolution, right? So the ideas that come through and a technology that comes through, so very rarely happen in isolation. There generally is a scientific breakthrough or a philosophical breakthrough, and people start to explore that, hundreds of them. And that's one of the things that's quite good about capitalism, in a way. It's one of the negative things about it as well. We don't necessarily get the best product. We get the one that was most fit for the market at the time. And fitness is not best. It's the one which adapted usually quickly enough or efficiently enough to survive. So you might have thought, for example, I'll use olden days parlance. You might have thought, like, for example, the Neo Geo was the best video game console.
Yeah.
But it was too expensive.
Yeah, it didn't fit.
The content that's been put on it was heavily focused towards arcade conversions because it was an arcade machine in the home, etc., etc., etc. And if you look at the home computing sort of journey and also the 8-bit console era, there's everybody and their uncle had a video game console out, it's not necessarily the best ones which survived. It was the ones that were fit for market.
It's interesting.
Had the right distribution, had the right this, had the right that. And that's the same with ideas as well. It's not necessarily the best idea which makes it into sort of viral situation. It's the one that's most fit to be spread.
So do you know what then, right? On that point then, right, I think what I'd ask you is one last question, Gordon. If you had to give advice to a kid who's maybe wanting to come in, either an entrepreneur or they've got some ideas or the game industry, what would you say, all the stuff you've learned, what's the biggest takeaway you would give somebody?
If you want to be a video game designer, you should learn how to program something. I don't care if it's Scratch or whatever it is. It's much easier to show people what you can do and what you mean than ask them to believe that you're good at it. Exactly.
Awesome. Good one. Thank you, Gordon. Cool. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.